I welcome everyone to exclusive Excellerbooks author interview session. I am Tanisha and I will be hosting this session. Today we have a distinguished guest, Chiemezie Ofodum. He is the visionary behind Single and Ready Club. With over 2 decades of youth membership, leadership, and ministry experience, he is dedicated to nurturing meaningful relationships and successful marriages through intentional coaching and training. Thank you, Mr. Ofodum, to publish your insightful book, 30 Wrong Reasons People Get Married by excellerbooks. And we are really very happy and proud to publish your book globally. And this is to let every audience whoever listens to this video that our author's book are always available to all the global platforms like Amazon, Amazon Kindle, Kobo, and Google Play. And we will be sharing the author's book description and link in the description box. Okay, so whoever wants to pick a copy of his book, they can pick it from our description box. Okay, so I welcome you, sir, and we are really grateful to have you in our show. So we will be getting into our questions. So before that, if you want, before getting down into our questions part, if you have anything to tell about your book to our audience, you can tell that.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, and I'm excited to be hosted on this session. Yeah, the book came out of the need to educate and empower people with knowledge, okay, as it relates to getting married. All right, marriage is one human experience that you can hardly take away from humanity. Okay, so long as there are people who get attracted to themselves, all right, they would want to get married. So it was out of the need for guiding people in that light. And because I'm a person of faith, so we believe it's between a man and a woman. So that's the analogy I'm going to be speaking to as represented in the Holy Book, the Bible. All right. So I saw the need to help enlighten people on some general practices that may not be for their good. You see, a lot of people do it and they think it's just okay, that's just the way it is, but it may not work at the end of the day. So it was out of that need to educate people, I put those points together and wrote that book.
Okay, thank you for your
Yeah.
answer. So now let's dig into our questions part. So my first
Okay.
question to you is, can you share some of the insight into the motivation behind writing this book, 30 Wrong Reasons People Get Married? So in short, what inspired you to write this title or write this book? So are there any
Okay.
personal experience from your end that you have faced and you thought of just stay away from marriage, kind of? So can you please tell your motivation or your inspiration behind writing this book?
Okay. Thank you very much. So, like I just said, the first thing is the need to want to educate people, but more particularly, it was from the place of counseling and discussing with young people who are contemplating marriage, and they bring their questions. And in interacting with them, you discover that some of the foundations may not be
Hmm.
correct. All right. Yeah. So when I saw that it was becoming something rampant, I had to say, okay, what can I put out there that, you know, that can help me sufficiently explain some points? Okay. Because if I speak to you today, I may mention ABC, tomorrow I mention to another person DEF, right? But I just thought to put those thoughts together in one place so that anytime someone comes with that kind of situation or confusion, you know, or misguidedness, I can refer you to one document and say, okay, you know what? Study this material and you will find a lot of information there. So that was the inspiration at the end of the day. Instead of speaking to people just individually, I thought to put the thoughts together so that it could reach more people around the world. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for your answer. So my next question to you is, you mentioned that there are reasons like pressure, then emotions and fantasy. So could you elaborate on these categories and explain how they impact people's choice in marriage? So how these
Okay.
different elements have influence in people's marriage?
Yes. So, for example, now the answer I will give right now would actually speak to all the different reasons, because at the end of the day, there's a principle I share with people that if you're getting married for any of the wrong reasons, you are most likely getting married to the wrong person. Okay. And what that means is that when several other issues of life come up,
Mhm.
right, you may not be able to navigate those issues together as you should. So let me give practical examples. Okay. If someone says, for example, the pressure reason, all right, under the pressure reason, some of the things I spoke about are people thinking, oh, I'm getting old, age is not on my side. My elder sister got married at 21. My elder brother got married at 30. I'm 35. I'm touching 40. I'm not married. What's going on? And they start getting scared, right? And then at that point, the person says, anyone I see who's ready to get married to me, I will get married. So if she's a young
That's the
lady and
instinct
she sees,
inside us.
yeah. So if she's a young lady and she sees a good looking guy and he says, hi, you look good. Can I talk to you? And she goes, ooh, maybe he's gonna be the one. You see, she's already interpreting and assessing everyone based on marriage. And then what that does to her is, because she's more eager to get into marriage, she may not pay attention to several other things. So she might be looking at the externalities. Oh, he dresses really good. He rides a good car. He looks well taken care of. Maybe this will be a good guy. I mean, perhaps you guys had dates and he paid for the date and he had some kind gestures and you thought, oh my, this is the person I'm looking for. All right. Now, what happens is when she exalts those external qualities above checking for things like character, consistency in his habits, in his behavior, right? His value system. If she exalts the externalities simply because she wants to get married to this person quickly, what will happen is she will be blinded to those other areas she's supposed to pay attention to because she doesn't want this opportunity to pass. So for her, it's more about I have to get married now to this person than is this person even good enough for me? So, if, for example, he's very good looking, yet he's an abuser, he's controlling, he's narcissistic, she may see those tendencies and water them down because in her heart, let me just get married. When we get in, we will walk around the differences. She may see all of those differences. She may see the red flags, but she tells herself, no, 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 let's just get married because by this time next year, I must be married.
Yeah.
I want to celebrate my birthday as a married woman. Or a guy saying, I want to celebrate my next birthday as a married man. You see, because that is the pressure, you will overlook the red flags, get in, and then suddenly, when the real issues start coming up, when he's not caring as you thought, when he doesn't listen to you and he insists you must do what he says, all right, he tells you you have to forego your career and sit at home because he cannot imagine his wife interacting with other people out there, so sit down in the house. Meanwhile, you're trained to your master's degree and even doctorate level. And then you tell him, no, wait, I have a career before I met you. You met me at my place of work. Why should I stop working? He says, I'll take care of you, but I don't want you out there. And she's saying, no, a part of my personal fulfillment is from the value I'm able to create interacting with other people. So you're telling me to sit at home, I'm going to get depressed. But he doesn't care about that. And she says, you know what? I can't deal. Get out. Before I met you, I had a life. And then now she wants out. You see, the first reason was wrong. She was under pressure. It made her to overlook red flags, which she thought she could tolerate. But when it blew out of proportion in marriage, she thought to herself, I can't deal with this. Let me rather get out. And I think it is one of the reasons we have an increasing number of people walking out of marriage when it's not seeming to work. Okay, because perhaps the foundation with which they got in at the beginning may have been faulty. So that's just an example that can speak to any of the reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just a way it
Yeah.
impacts marriage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And that's true. What you have just said. Whenever any of us, like we think of marriage, we just think the externals of marriage, like this gifts, this jewelry, such grander things, but we don't see the inside of it. Then what next? Now I am married. Now
Yes.
what next?
Yes.
So this
What
thing,
next? Exactly.
yeah. So these things people don't question themselves basically. So I think in that reason, in that way, you are absolutely right with your answer. Okay, so let's
Thank
go
you.
to our next question. So, drawing your experience in counseling singles and married couples, could you share a compelling real life example that illustrates the consequence of marrying the wrong person? So, as you have mentioned that you are, one of the founders of your club, Singles and Ready. So,
That's
and you
right.
counsel, yes, and you counsel people whoever face such marital problems and whoever are singles. So, what kind of problem and what kind of common questions that you always encounter while doing your counseling part?
I mean, one of the most common questions is, how do I know this person really wants to get married to me?
Mhm,
Okay, it's one of the common questions I hear from ladies, from guys.
mhm,
The lady thinks, how am I sure he's not a playboy? He just wants to get the goods, have fun, and get out.
mhm,
The guy says, how am I sure she's not after my wealth or my money or my resources?
mhm.
Right? So how do I know that this person truly wants to get married to me? Okay, you want me to answer that question, or should I just
Yes.
talk about other questions that I received?
No,
Okay.
you can answer.
Um,
You can answer.
all right. Now, very quickly, one of the things I say to the ladies wondering if the guy is serious about them, some of the things I tell them is that, first of all, when a man wants to get married to you, he will make it clear to you what his intentions are. He won't beat about the bush. Yeah? He won't beat about the bush. He'll make it clear. He will make you know he likes you so much, and this is what he's thinking about. The reason for that is men are very possessive or very territorial physically. So when a man picks interest in a lady, as much as possible, he wants to establish her as his own and get every other guy looking elsewhere. Yeah, so he's not going to give room
Mhm,
for other people to still hover around and just look
mhm,
like we're nothing. No, we're serious. I
mhm,
want to get married to you. Okay, so he will show those kind of possessive tendencies. He'll ask you questions. He wants to know you more. He wants to meet your sibling. You say your sister is in town. Oh, can we go out together? Can I buy you guys lunch? He wants to make an impression on them so that he can buy into them, and they can also help you say, hey, he's a cool guy. Consider him. You see, so he will talk about it. He will
mhm,
talk about, if a man truly wants to get married to a woman, take note of my emphasis there. A man who is prepared to get married, he's not trying to play games. He has seen a lady, he thinks, I want her. He will talk about it to her. All right. And he'll be consistent in those conversations. He wants to meet her family. He wants to spoil her. He wants to take care of her. He's checking, where are you? What are you doing? Are you fine? All right. In a healthy way. Okay. Because there's a way people check on others that could be unhealthy. That's another dimension. All right. But he will speak about his intentions. Right. That's just one of the answers. And then he'll be glad to introduce her to the people around him. Hey, that's my lady. And he's not going to introduce her with a general title. He won't say, meet one of my friends. He won't say, meet one of my colleagues. He'll say, meet my lady.
mhm,
That's my girl, my woman. Anyhow, he's going to say it, but he's going to try to personalize her. Okay? Because don't forget, one of the things he wants to do is to get the other guys off. Hey, this one is taken.
mhm.
Don't look here. Don't look here.
Yeah.
So she's mine. All right? He goes for a function. He wants to go with her because he wants to show her off. He wants her by his side. He wants people to know he's here with his lady.
Mhm,
But when he doesn't want to get married to her,
mhm,
he could be sneaky about some of those things, right? He could be sneaky. He's hanging out with some people. He says, meet a friend of mine. No, if she's somebody he's serious with, she's not a friend of mine. He will give her a title. He will give her something that
mhm,
personalizes her.
mhm,
Okay, so that's just one of the points I'll share. For time's sake, there's several. And then for a guy who's trying to know what if a lady is in it for interest and love, and not just for what she can gain out of him,
mhm,
one of the things he should look out for is she will be eager to contribute meaningfully to his life.
mhm,
So, for example, yes, he may be very wealthy and can afford expensive things, But sometimes she may question some of those things like, yeah, I know this is good, but do we have to spend so much? Why? Because the woman naturally is thinking about security. All right, not just physical security, but emotional security and security for the family and the children. If you're spending this much today, do we have enough for tomorrow? Do we have for the rest of the year? Okay, so if he's spending lavishly, she's going to wonder, do you live in your own house? Do you have yourself an apartment? Do you have yourself investments? What happens tomorrow if your source of income is out? Are we all going to suffer for it? So she's going to be more concerned about your future than your now. And it will reflect in her conversations. She wants to know more about you. She wants to see if you can really take care of her and her children, because she's always thinking like that. Many times the men may not even think that far. The man just sees you, I want you. He's not thinking long term. But the woman is thinking more like, what about this? What about that? So something I tell people is that she will ask you a lot of questions. Because in her mind, she's thinking, what if he doesn't really like me? And maybe she's a light-skinned person. What if he prefers dark-skinned ladies? One day she's going to ask him, why are you attracted to me? Are you sure? What if he says, she will describe something else. She wants to know what he thinks, right? So in her conversation with him, she's going to be checking out all the things that are important to her to see how well the person fits into the picture she has imagined in her head, and to even know where she fits into in his plans. So most times, ladies will also ask about the future. Many times, it's the ladies who ask the men, where are we going with this? It's not the men who ask, because the men don't care. So long as they're getting the pleasure they want, they don't really care. Yeah, we're just like that. Yeah, I like you, but I don't like you like that. Like, I'm not thinking of getting married to you, but I just enjoy having you around. But the lady is saying, no, you're playing with my emotions. I want to commit to something. I want something beyond surface level. I want to have mine. Okay, so where are we going? Right? So when the lady starts asking that question, those kind of questions, you know that, okay, she's thinking long term. She's thinking something more solid and not something just temporal or ephemeral or short-lived. Do you understand? So let me stop there because I could say a lot. Yeah.
I was really enjoying listening to you because whatever you are saying are all facts, and
Okay.
yeah, and women are after a certain time. Even nowadays, we live in a modern society, and women do also play with men's feelings. But ultimately,
Yes.
and ultimately, what happens? Women get emotional at the end when they like listen a new term as situationship. It's not no, it's no more relationship. It's situationship because it,
Relationship.
it is
Yes.
yeah, it is based on the situation. It happened in the situation. So that's why
Yeah.
it's called a situationship. So whatever. Women get just go with the flow kind of, and they fall in love with that person. And ultimately, it's the woman who suffer. According to me, I think you can tell better from the men's perspective, but I can say from a woman's perspective that women suffer a lot. Yeah, I agree that there are
That's right.
women around the world who even play with men's emotion, and I'm totally against that, and vice versa with men. So thank you
That's
for
right.
your answer. Your answer. Yeah. So we
Okay.
are almost at the end of our interview, and before
Okay.
telling you our last question, I just wanted to ask you that from when did you started thinking to write such a title? Like from when did you start to identify these problems or these reasons that people shouldn't get married? From when? Like
Okay.
yeah.
So, when you were introducing me, you mentioned I had been a teenage mentor and leader for over two
Hmm.
decades, which is
Hmm.
what it is. So I've always been around the space of advising young people,
Hmm.
even while I was a teenager myself over 20
Hmm.
years ago, right? So from then, because relationships actually start from puberty, from
Hmm.
teenage,
Yeah.
when a lady starts feeling special, and the
Hmm.
guy starts feeling, hey, I'm macho, hey,
Hmm.
they start to get attracted to each other and stuff like that. So I discovered that for me, it's always been there as the need to guide people to not just follow their feelings or their emotions, but to make sure it is guided by something more solid, right? So, for example, I used to tell teenagers who were still perhaps dealing with their academics, I used to tell them stuff like, um, don't run after love now because it could hurt you in ways you're not prepared to handle. Rather, focus on self discovery, learn about yourself, learn your strengths, learn your weaknesses, learn your temperament. Okay, there are basic things people need to learn about themselves. Why do I do the things I do? Why do I like these? Why do I don't like that? So focus on learning about yourself, learning about the qualities that make for success in life. Why? Because if you just leave all of that and run after emotions, you will start having to deal with problems you have not been trained or you've not built capacity to handle. All right. So learn the basic virtues of life, learn patience, learn tolerance, learn self control. You don't have to say everything the way you feel like. All right. So I started really seeing the need to guide people from a very early age. But it became more a burden in the last 5 years of my life. No, particularly maybe in the past 7 years of my life, when I decided to now get fully into this practice. Okay, before I was doing it as a part-time thing, as just when I have the chance, but I decided to get fully into it, and then that was when I thought that okay, structure some learning around this. All right, have something structured because more people were coming around. It was the time when more ladies were of age and were in the marketplace. You know, they were economically empowered, but they didn't have husbands. And because people knew me in that space, a lot of people used to reach out to me, a lot of ladies. So would tell me, hey, get me a husband. I must get married this year. And I'm like, hey, I'm no husband bank. you know, I'm not husband storage, right? So, and then I'll tell them, but why do you want to get married now? Ah, do you know how old I am? Do you know I'm the only one of my sisters not married? Or a guy says, there's an opportunity for me next year, but they want to give it to somebody who's a married man. So I need to get married quickly so that I can apply for that promotion or for that posting. You see, so all he wants a woman for is to fill up a part of him so he can continue in his career, and not like he really cares about her or her needs or her desires or her future or her career. He doesn't really care about that. He just wants you to do this for him so that he can move on, right? So when I talk to the guys like that, many times I tell them, I say, no, I'm not going to expose anybody I know to you with this kind of interest because you will hurt them overall. Unless you're willing to come through and sit under a 2 month or a 1 month, mentorship or training so that we can work on your belief systems. We can expose you to more knowledge about marriage. And then we ask you, are you even sure? I've had a number of cases where some clients were preparing for marriage, but after the end of the premarital class, they told themselves they were not ready to go ahead anymore. They just saw that, man, we're too different. Like we're not compatible at all. We were just managing ourselves earlier. We can't do this in the long term, and they went apart. All right, it was their decision, not mine. I just exposed knowledge to them and helped them to be vulnerable enough to see the truth when it presents itself. Okay, and they thought to themselves, I don't think I want to go ahead with this. In some other occasion, they'll say, you know what? Let's move the date by 6 months. Let's move it by 1 year. Let's see how we do in these aspects for the next 3 to 6 months. If we're able to make certain adjustments, then we're convinced we can go. If not, we may just call it quits, right? Why? Because they have been enlightened and they have been able to see that that path they were headed on may have been a dead end. Yeah. So for me, about 7 years ago was when I really started getting deliberate about structuring a learning system around this to help people. Yeah, I think that answers the question. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for answering this question. And I just say that we are almost at the end of our interview, so this is going to be your last question. So, as you have
Okay.
counseled a lot of single and married, I will just particularly say about single people. So, what are the key or steps that you tell them to follow or tell them to just realize within yourself to before getting married? So what are those steps that everyone should follow or everyone should realize within themselves before getting married?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Before I list some points, let me give this background. The first thing is they should have a mindset that allows them to learn about marriage. Okay? A mindset, a belief system that allows you to learn. Why did I say that? Because when it has to do with relationships and marriage, so many people just believe I know what I'm doing. I don't need to tell you about my relationship. It's mine. I'm dealing with my matters myself. I know what I'm doing. Meanwhile, what you think you know is what has been impacted on you by your upbringing, by your environment, by your experiences. And some of these things may or may not be helpful towards your marriage. So have an openness, first of all, to learn about marriage, right? So that's the first thing I would say. Why is that? Because without preparation in any area, you can hardly succeed in it. Any area, academics, anything, any field, any discipline, business, if you don't prepare, you will not succeed. So how do you think that you would just succeed in marriage by chance if you don't prepare? So some key areas I tell people in helping their preparation. First, I mentioned one before, self-discovery. Self-discovery. You want to spend some time to even introspect, turn the spotlight on yourself, right? I hear people say things like, I want to be able to identify Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. And we tell them, what about you? Are you somebody's Mr. Right? Are you somebody Mrs. Right? Okay. So when you're thinking of all those qualities you want to see in somebody, what you're asking yourself is, what qualities am I blessing that person with? What qualities are other people going to see in me that makes me desirable to them beyond my external beauty? And why do I say that? Because your external beauty may or may not have been something you did to yourself. I put that clause because now a lot of surgeries can transform people's external looks, right? But if you don't do anything to yourself, basically you did not determine your when you were born, how you were born, what parents you were born into, what country you were born into. You didn't determine all of that. So it's not within your power to determine per se. All right. If you're going to be a very beautiful person or not so beautiful, if there's something like that, right? You did not determine that. You met yourself this way, right? But beyond the things that you did not influence, what other value are you adding to yourself that will make you admirable to others? So we always tell people self-awareness it is. That's one key one. Then another key thing I tell people is you want to learn about the other gender that you're getting married to. If you're a man and getting married to a woman, you want to know about women. How do women think? How do women respond? How do women process things? There are certain things a man will do differently from a woman. There are certain interests. There are certain interests that will differ between male and women. Okay, so you want to understand, beyond understanding yourself, you want to understand more about the other gender. If you're a lady, you want to know about guys. Now, why am I saying this? Because many times when the arguments start, both of you could be saying the things that are correct to you individually, but for your purpose, it's not working. So let me give this example I always use in my classes. If you write the letter 6 on the floor, and tell someone to stand on this side and another person stand on the opposite side. The person on this side, you ask them, what is on the floor? They'll tell you it's 6. But when you ask the person on the opposite side, what is on the floor? They'll tell you it's 9. So which of them is correct and which is wrong?
Both are correct.
Both of them are correct.
From this side.
Exactly. Yeah. But you now have to ask yourself, where are we looking at it from? So if you don't understand that, many times a guy and a lady are seeing things like that differently. Why? Because of our makeup. Certain things a guy would not pay attention to, a lady may pay attention to. So she's not wrong, neither is he wrong, but then they need to understand how to harmonize their perspectives so that they can see the same thing. Okay, so I also tell people, learn about love, because I believe love is one of the most confused subject matters in the world.
So are you
Why?
been love? Are
Because
you been love ever? Are you been love?
are you asking me or are you saying to the person?
Are you? I'm asking you that. Have you ever been into love?
Okay.
As you were saying, it's the most.
Myself?
Yeah, as you were saying, it's the most
Yeah.
complex emotion. So are you being into that emotion?
Yeah. So for me, I tell people that love is beyond the emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Mm,
beyond the emotion.
mm,
There are emotions of love,
mm,
but the love that you would use in marriage goes beyond those emotions.
mm,
You need to be able to make clear decisions, all
mm,
right, out of your conviction
mm,
to be committed to someone.
mm.
That is the love that works in marriage.
Yes.
Why? Because many times those emotions will be hurt, but
Mm,
it is the commitment that will
mm,
make you stay, right?
right.
Sometimes those emotions will just disappear. You can't find them. You're not in the mood,
Mm,
but it is the commitment, that decision you have made that I don't want to consider any other person. I don't want to walk away. I'm sure we can make this work. That commitment will make you swallow your pride, be vulnerable enough to tell your
mm,
partner, okay, I'm sorry. How can we make this work? You see, so it's not about the emotion of love, it's
mm,
about the intentionality, the
mm,
decision, and the commitment in it. So those are things people also need to learn so that when the emotions are not there again, or rather when there's what we call the butterflies in your tummy, you just feel excited around. There are days you will not be excited.
mm,
So what happens on those days? Would you walk away? Is that the end of the relationship? You can't build a lifetime commitment on something temporal. Feelings are temporal, they
mm,
come and they go.
mm,
They are influenced by all kinds of external factors.
mm,
So, if you want to build something long term on
mm,
something that is short term,
mm.
then it's not going to be productive. Okay, so those are some basic things people need to learn about: self awareness, opposite gender awareness, what love really is, and then what marriage really is. And then, if you can do that, you're on the right path.
Yes, absolutely, and you're absolutely right. And thank you for your time and your answer. And I think people will enjoy listening to our video and listening to our interview because you have explained the entire thing in a very interesting way. So you are
Thank
not
you.
discouraging anyone to that don't get married. You are just telling them the reasons to check before getting married.
Yes,
So
exactly. That's it.
yeah, so I think that's I mean it's a great responsibility on your shoulder, I guess. So you have to like tell them to go in the correct path if they want to be happy in their life. So in that case,
That's right.
you're doing a great job, sir. And so that's it. We are almost completed the entire interview, and we are at the end of our interview for today. So I really thank you, Mr. Ofodum, for sharing your insight and expertise with us today. And we really greatly appreciate your effort in pointing out this special, like very important points before getting into marriage, and also saving a lot of lives before drowning into a very abusive marriage or anything that will not work in
That's right.
future. So you are letting people to go in the correct path. So that's a great responsibility that you are following. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your work and for your time and for publishing your book with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. Have a
Yeah.
good